This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
Hi, Heidi.
Hi, Debbie. Hi, Jack.
What a roller coaster ride we've been on for the last, at least a week, right? Waiting for Greg Olson to leave the building.
Witch is dead. Witch, oh witch, wicked witch.
In a giant cannon.
I mean, some people were a little sad to see Bradley go, and of course, Rich Bisaccia, who really did a good job in the last couple of months. But let's face it, there's a reason why almost 40 years of coaching, he's really never landed in a head coaching spot. And the Raiders, and somebody said it for me, Captain, really great. The Raiders didn't need a head coach. They needed an organization.
That's true. Who came up with that renowned, awesome, thoughtful, and spot on thinking right there?
Oh, it's one of my gurus named Kenny Parker, who really, we've been talking about it all year, how the Raiders were at a crossroads, especially after Gruden left. And Heidi, I know you gave us some real food for thought about Gruden leaving and where the Raiders as an organization were. And I really think that was good thinking by Mark Davis. Now, I know we done bought folk in the building. The captain just, I don't know, Cap, what you thinking about the New England crowd that's now in our building?
Well, like I said, I don't care. I don't care who's who. And again, I'm going to make sure that the only person who's out of shot here is me, because again, I'm first off, it hides my belly. And second off, you ladies are too pretty to have things go over you. But you know, I don't care because I seem to recall that Willie Brown was a Bronco before he came over to the Raiders.
There you
Okay,
go.
I seem to recall that different people came over from different organizations and became an ingratiated part of the Raiders. And obviously, I'm talking about players, but I also know that you take the best or to make yourself better, you look outside of what you already know. Because if you're not doing that, then you're just going to remain stagnant. Okay.
Mhm.
And that's why I tell people I don't want to hear it called the freaking, and I said freaking because we are on Roku TV. Because I needed to make sure that this, well, I actually have an announcement. I will hide this real quick to make sure I have that announcement going. Please watch your language because we're on Roku TV, and that includes all folks here, but I just needed to get that in there. But it doesn't matter. As I said before, I don't care where you're from. It's what you do while you are here. Okay. I mean, Bill Romanowski was one of the most hated people in professional football, still is by many counts, but he came over and is now a true Raider. Okay. By definitive sense of terms, you know, I seem to recall that Jim Plunkett and Mike Haynes came over from the Patriots. Granted, Plunkett came over via, you know,
San Francisco.
Queen,
Yeah.
but still, he was a member of the Patriots. So again, I don't care where you're from; it's what you do while you're here. And the reason why I put this up is because I wanted to ask about this. And again, I'm maybe jumping ahead a bit, but I saw reports about Chris Ash being signed to being a defensive backs coach, and I applauded that last night when the news came out because he has head coaching experience from Rutgers as well as Ohio State and other things, and said, "Oh, he's the DB coach." And then I saw today that we did sign Jason Simmons from the Carolina Panthers, and people were like, "Well, I thought we signed Chris Ash." So I know this is a little bit of what you're asking, but not quite. Is I don't care where you were from before; it's what you do here. And the second portion of why I have this on the screen is until everybody is signed and they have the announcements on Raiders.com,
Right.
don't believe what you might see until you actually see it.
Exactly. The clickbait masters are out there making sure that they post these screaming headlines so you'll go in and see what turns out to be a rumor. Okay.
Sure.
We got a lot of that going on all over the league. I mean, with Kyler Murray, you know, they're making a big deal out of him deleting his social media, all references to Arizona. And I'm like, okay, has that become the new crystal ball? Right? Is that supposed to tell? I mean, we're sniffing like Sherlock Holmes, right? All evidence.
Didn't Jalen Richard do the same thing last year?
He sure did.
Yeah.
And there was a big deal about that as well, and he was on the field. Now, but I wanted to, Hattie, really, wanted to get your reflection first about Josh McDaniels as the new head coach. Can you name, I would like you to name 3 things that you think he's going to make a difference in. Offense or defense, doesn't matter.
Well, I think overall he will bring the culture of winning, which is very important. It's a culture that the Raiders have not had in a very long time. I think on the offense, he will definitely bring in a more effective overall offense, but especially in the red zone. He's planning on using a lot of play action, 2 tight end sets. The entire year, we were kind of wondering, where are the 2 tight end sets? Why aren't we using them? Especially with Moreau and Waller.
Right.
And I think on defense, he is probably going to go enough to stay out of the way of somebody who is ready to do that. I know, like Gruden, he couldn't stay out of the way of Gunther, because they were just such good buddies. He
Yes.
couldn't see how bad he sucked, and
I just
and I think McDaniels won't let that happen because he cares about winning. That's all that he's cared about in his professional career, and he's been doing it other than when he went to the Broncos for the last 20-some years.
It's true. And I wish people would stop posting about his experience with the Denver Broncos 12 years ago. I mean, that's an organization that can't even find a quarterback. We're looking at somebody who's got 12 years behind a bad first experience. And I think that he deserves his second chance, and we are a second chance organization, like the captain said at the outset. You forgot Ted Hendricks, by the way, Captain, when you said that, grabbed him from Green Bay, right?
Yo, no, I wasn't even. I like I said, I wasn't even going there yet. Okay, I was just thinking about, because you mentioned a particular franchise, and that's why my thoughts were only about that franchise. Granted,
That's right.
we got Mike Haynes in a trade because he was disgruntled there. Okay, so the circumstances were a bit different. But like I said, we've gotten people from other franchises before, and they've turned very well. They turned out quite well. And that's the way it is. Is like, I don't care what you did, where you were before, providing obviously you didn't kill anybody, and again, I don't mean that in a bad way concerning, what we've recently had here,
What can you do for us? I mean,
right.
What do you add to us that makes us a better team? Al never cared about what somebody told and whispered in his ear about a player. He looked at, how can this guy add to the mix and make us a better team? And I think if you apply that same thing to Josh McDaniels, you'll get that. And what Heidi said first off the bat, coming from a winning organization, they know Josh McDaniels and the crew that's in here now knows what a winner looks like inside and out, and especially on the sidelines. The Raiders, unfortunately, have been rampant with sideline politics, with favoritism, with making bad football decisions that are personal. Like, I'm still on the Del Rio getting rid of Musgrave. Things that don't help the team. A winning franchise doesn't even go down that road. And I think that's what they're going to help us with most of all, to change the culture. Make it more accountable. Go ahead.
And I seem to remember that there is a certain coach that is well known to Coach McDaniels who did a rather poor job his first tenure.
Oh, yeah.
And he was a coach for the Cleveland Browns. And he went on to win how many Super Bowls in the last 20 years?
6 of them.
So you can definitely learn from your first job and from your first experience as a head coach.
Actually, so, I'll go beyond that. Okay, and everybody brings up Belichick. I'll be kind and actually call him by his true name, but
BB
Don Shula won in his second stint.
That's right.
He was with the Colts and then he went to the Dolphins. And obviously, by the way, the winningest football coach, I think Belichick is going to catch him, or he has caught him. But Don Shula won in his second stint, okay? Mm-hmm. Tony Dungy couldn't get arrested. He couldn't even get a coaching job. And then he finally went to Tampa and did well with them. He still couldn't get over the hump. But when he went to the Colts, he won in his second stint. Okay, so those are two right there. So you can win in your second stint. And I'm hoping, and as I said it before, when McDaniel was the coach of the Donkeys, he was 32 freaking years old, okay, which is immature anyway, okay? Mm-hmm. Even as an adult, it's an immature adult when you're talking in football life, okay? He's 44, 45 now, okay? Right. So I would think that he would have learned things of what he did wrong the first time and what he needs to do the second time. I mean, my God, I would hope so. I would hope.
And of course, I put up on a post on my wall that basically said, if the Raiders are committed to excellence, doesn't matter how you do it or who you do it with, just win, baby. That's it. We've gotten so far away from a winning culture, a winning environment, that we've forgotten the tools that are necessary. And of course, it starts with good defense. You have to play good defense. And if the playoff games we've watched in the last couple of weeks haven't shown you that, the Bills don't play good defense in the fourth quarter and overtime, they lose. The Bengals do play good defense in the fourth quarter and the second half, in overtime. They win. They're in the Super Bowl. Kansas City went home. You just can't replace that element. Your quarterback isn't going to get you out of every situation. You have to depend on a defense to dominate and control games. They also bring discipline on both sides of the ball, and they bring you a sense of comfort that at least if you get 2 touchdowns ahead of somebody, you can actually win the game. We haven't had that in such a long time that we don't understand what's all about. But I'm slightly concerned about defense, and I do understand we brought in the guy from the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody give me his name.
Patrick Graham.
Right, Graham from the Giants, and you know, I'm anxious to see what he brings. That's different. He does know the Patriot way. Spent a lot of years for the Patriots.
Can we stop saying that?
I don't go for cancel culture.
No. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. Yes, we know it. And by the way, John Gruden, who's like that name that a lot of people won't talk about. Okay. John Gruden said the same thing when he came into the team. He says, I like the Patriot way.
Uh-huh.
I like the Patriot way.
But he didn't understand what it was. He never coached on that team.
Well, but the point is that everybody always glosses over. I mean, the Patriot way is like their version of commitment to excellence and just win, baby. Mm-hmm. It's a cat's sign. But what I'm saying is that I don't want to hear that anymore, because what we are doing, and I will attest to this. And I love you, Peggy, but I'm just saying I can't stand hearing that. This is the new Raider way and the correct way, or the way we should have been doing it all along. Okay?
Well, we'll see whether the Raider way mixes and meshes and becomes a new way altogether for a 21st century approach. The Raiders' 21st century approach to winning championships. And oh, by the way, the people that are still shooting for playoff wins, raise your eyes to the sky. I'm actually looking for a dynasty. I'm actually looking for what we had from 1966 to 1984, which is consecutive winning seasons peppered in with Super Bowls. That's what I'm looking for again. That nothing less would do. And that's just the way I look at it. We can say what I was talking about with Graham, though, is that he too has experience in that organization. So he's bringing that with him. I just don't know enough about him. Heidi, can you help me out with Graham?
I don't know a lot about him either. I know that he is a good pickup and that he's not somebody that the Giants wanted to get rid of. But the Raiders offered him more than the Giants could do, and they lost him. So
aren't they bringing in Daboll as their head coach? Isn't he a DC, right, from Buffalo? So, I mean, probably got crowded in the room anyway.
No, Daboll is
OC.
He's an OC.
Okay, he's the OC. Okay,
Yeah,
so
and
they did want to keep him.
that's why Dable wanted to keep him.
Mhm.
And the reason why they wanted to keep him, and I'm gonna allude to some of the things about Graham, is that like McDaniels, who schemes his offense to each opponent every week. So prior to this season, it was 16 games and 17 games. He has an offensive scheme set upon how to attack the defense each week. The same thing with Graham. Graham schemes to the opponent's offense, and it's different each week. He runs a 4-3, a 3-4,
Whatever it calls for.
5,
Yeah.
whatever it calls for, and it changes quarter by quarter, series by series. He actually makes changes on the fly, and that's one of the reasons why he's a fantastic coordinator. Is the fact is he does things that the Raiders haven't been doing in forever, which is
decades. Adjustments.
Yeah.
Adjustments. But see,
I don't know what that word means. Could that be explained to me, please?
Bring out your Webster's dictionary. You gotta be smart to be able to make adjustments. You have to recognize. You have to be a good chess player, and you have to have the personnel to respond. And that's where I'm interested to see how Graham is going to handle that, because we still have some personnel issues, and I wanted to segue into that by asking 3 players you would rather not see come back next year. And I'm
absent of salary cap, just 3 players.
3 players that you've seen enough, you'd rather not see them come back.
Littleton, Parker, and Jonathan Abram.
Oh, yeah, you said that, Captain. Your 3.
Well,
3 players.
She took one of mine, Corey Littleton. Except that I'm going to hold off on the fact that I'm going to hold on that one for 2 reasons. A, it's a hell of a salary cap hit. Okay.
Well, that's why I asked absent of a salary cap.
Right. But the other thing is that Littleton plays well in different schemes. And the way Graham will come in here, he might actually have a defense that will play to his strengths. So he might drastically improve. So that's kind of like an iffy thing. Kwiatkowski, only because we're paying him a bunch of money, and it's I haven't seen a lot of things because of him.
He can't stay healthy. Go ahead.
I would definitely Parker because, again, I would like for him to be the maitre d' at the Alara Hotel so I can say hi to him every time that I come into Vegas. So I said, hey, how you doing there, P? What's going on, brother? And give him a chest bump or something. And this way I would see him. Abram, I'm going to say basically the same thing that I said about Littleton is if you use him correctly, like say move him down to a box linebacker or something along those lines, he'd be all right. I'm trying to think of somebody that's a real dirtbag, and I don't really want to. Those are the 3 that come to mind.
I'm just thinking that, through Gunther and Bradley, neither Abram nor Littleton were able to really do anything impressive. So I'm not sure a third coordinator can actually do anything with them.
The one thing I miss so much about the good old days was we had smart players. And I think that's what you're complaining about especially with Littleton and Abrams. I haven't noticed high football IQ from either one of those guys. When they're on the field, it doesn't seem like they sense what's getting ready to happen next. I miss players like that. I miss the Ted Hendricks that was already on. If you remember the Willie Brown interception, right? And he's jumping the ball on the route. But guess who's already over there and kind of backing up the whole play? Ted Hendricks is right there. Mm-hmm. And I was like, How did he know that the ball was going over there? I mean, there were so, it was like the entire Raider defense had already kind of slid to that side before even Tarkenton throws the ball to say, and I'm thinking to myself, I miss smart guys like that. I miss guys that actually can feel what's getting ready to happen, can sense it. By the fourth quarter, they know who moves on certain plays, how they line up, and they studied it. That's just smart football. And we missing. I think that's what we're complaining about with these guys. And of course, my three are Simpson, Parker, and I it's poor Littleton. I just don't think Littleton is bright enough for where he is. And that's a terrible, terrible thing to say. He just doesn't have enough football IQ. My linebackers have to have high IQ. They're too important in the middle there.
I'm going to say with Simpson. I mean, I've seen enough of Parker.
Simpson's got to go.
You know what? No. I'm going to tell him and said, if you want to stick with this team, okay, I want to see a definitive amount of improvement in the offseason going into training camp, because he has the wherewithal, he has the capability, he has the upside of when he was with Clemson. I know that that's college to pros, but he showed the promise at a national powerhouse college team to be where he was. Okay, he showed that. Okay. Mm-hmm. And China was saying Leatherwood. I'm like, no. He was a rookie.
He's a rookie. I mean, come on. You don't even know whether he can wash underneath his arms right. You
gotta give him 1 year to at least kind of acclimate.
Ladies, I didn't get a chance to finish yet. I was just trying to say Leatherwood is a rookie. Simpson's been in there. Oh, he's only had like 1 or 2 years to develop. I think he needs that third year to get better, and this is his make or break. Leatherwood will substantially get better. I think he will be a fantastic addition as a guard. Was it a reach that we wanted him to play tackle? Sure, it was. Case closed. We're going to need to solve that right tackle problem, unless in a year or three, then Leatherwood will get his wherewithal and will pop out there. But I think we need a right tackle. Leatherwood will be fine as a guard. Simpson needs to show me enough, which is why he wasn't on that list. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I just saw something chilling from our clickbait masters. Something about Trent Brown coming back.
Yeah.
Did you see?
I saw that.
Like goose pimples went down, goosebumps went up. I said, are you kidding? We do not want any of that kind here ever again. This idea of bringing people back in the building after you'd already put them out before, we did that with Olsen, didn't work. You just bringing folks back after you already let them go is just a bad idea. And I hope Josh McDaniel and Ziegler do not buy into that one bit. And I heard he's a free agent. Did you see that?
You know what? I disagree in one respect. I'd give him a contract for $5.
Oh no.
No, because of all the money he stole from us the first time.
That's right. We've already paid him. Yeah.
Right. We've already paid him enough that he owes us a season. So right. I'd give him like a $5 down payment incentive laden. If he does well, then he can earn another $15. He could have a $20 season.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I mean. I heard that, but we perennially have had a problem with that right tackle position. I don't know what it is. We just can't plug. And let's talk about the biggest problem. And I'd like both of you to talk on this. We still need that field stretching wide receiver. After all these years, we still haven't got him.
No, we had him.
We did. But he doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Poof, he's gone.
Yeah.
So now you're out on the free agent market. Who are you looking at?
Well, I'll tell you who I am not looking at. And it's probably going to piss off a lot of people. I'm not looking at Devontae Adams at $30 million.
Me either, for a number of reasons. Go ahead.
Well, for $30 million, that's the main reason. Even at 20, that would be a stretch, and I would possibly accept it. Okay, but and Richie Riche has my thoughts right here, and I'm going to put it in there because New England historically doesn't need big time number one wide receivers. They've done it with lesser talent. Okay, and aside from a number one whose name I won't say because I am not a Raider. I am not a Raider. That guy.
But Richie, you're right on that. Yeah, and it's not. I mean, the idea that Carr is going to be a certain person who makes wide receivers. I think McDaniels can do a lot of things for Carr, and that's one of them.
Well, the other thing is that their offense is predicated on a double tight end slot receiver getting a bunch of the catches. We got two tight ends that can catch the ball. We got the best slot receiver in football. That's why it doesn't really matter who's on the other end. He also needs a running back out of the backfield that can catch passes. That would be Drake if he comes back. If not, then we will have to see if another one is available. But again, you don't need to spend a bunch of coin on something that is not a number one factor in a McDaniels offense.
So who else you got in mind? If we, let's say McDaniels says he wants to test the market. So who else you got on your mind? I mean, we've already well, wait a minute, Heidi. What are you thinking about Adams?
I would love to have Adams, but not for $30 million a year. I mean, I've seen him play with Carr, and they were magical together. But that was many years ago. I'm personally kind of fond of Godwin.
ACL.
Is he on IR again?
No, he had an ACL injury, and that's one reason why I don't want to spend. If he hadn't had an ACL injury, I would give him a decent amount of money to be that guy. But I'm not spending a lot of money on a receiver that's coming off an ACL.
Well, I mean, who else you got on your list? Let's go down the list.
Robinson, DJ Chark comes to mind. I like Christian. Actually, I like Christian Kirk from the Cardinals.
Yeah, Peggy's not going to let you get Allenson.
Well, you're talking about Robinson, aren't you? I don't even want to hear anybody mentioning Allen Robinson. Christian Kirk.
You asked for other names. I said, Bob, personally, the number one guy that I want is Christian Kirk. The second guy is DJ Chark, but he's injury prone as well, which is unfortunate.
I like Christian Kirk. I always have since when he came
I always
into the league.
have, and I keep scratching my head wondering why they were doing everything down in Arizona not to make him. Well, of course, when they got D-Hop, that ended the question. But something I can't put my finger on about Kirk. I love him. I mean, I really do. I like his hands. I like his route running ability. But there's something about him. And they just don't target him a lot down in Arizona. And I can't help but thinking they know something. They don't target him enough for me. You know, just knowing the kind of guy this is. They don't target him enough for me. And well, everybody's talking about this wide receiver that we need. But now on defense, we got to figure out what kind of guy Graham is, what kind of personnel he's going to want. Captain, is this a good year for DTs?
In the
draft? Yeah.
There's quite a few linemen that are available. Everybody's talking about the Fat Boy Davis out of Georgia, but A, he's going to be gone before we get him. B,
there you go.
He would need to work on his cardiovascular because he would be like maybe a 2-down defensive tackle. And I want, if I'm going to draft somebody in the first round, I want somebody that's going to be able to stay on the field for at least 3 downs most of the time. Mm-hmm. But here's the other thing. If we're going to go there, if we're going to go defensive tackle out of Georgia, the kid next to him, Wyatt, is a great guy who's both a pusher and a run stuffer and a guy that can go after the quarterback. That's my favorite defensive tackle that I know. Granted, I don't have all of the answers there, which is why, here's a shameless plug, which is why we're going to have a draft show with Richie Riche and Jason Dean Hunter on this channel.
Very good.
Be ready for it because we're going to go through a bunch of these different things. Remember, Captain Jack, and I'm going to do the same thing I do on this show most of the time is shut up and let the ladies talk, is I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let Richie Riche talk and Jason Dean Hunter talk because they know all about the draft. And I'm just going to say,
Yeah, I'm not as into that. I'm just told by my gurus who are just getting their books cracked open to start grading some of these guys. They're saying that it's a great year for DTs. And hasn't been for 2 or 3 years. I know because I've been looking for a DT. Well, Heidi, you know I've been posting about a DT like
you've been pining for a DT.
Pining for a 3T DT, not just any DT who does the things that the captain just said. I mean, I need him to wrap up 2 guys. I need him to push that pocket, and I need a sure-handed tackler. I'm going to tell a story that I've been dying to tell about Dave Butts. This is when I realized the value of a good defensive tackle. If you recall George Allen back in the 70s, I think he traded 2 number 1 draft picks and a second for Dave Butts. And I kept thinking to myself, who in the world is worth 2 number 1 picks and a second? I mean, what kind of guy is this? Who's this, Superman? I saw him play 1 year. Then I saw him play 5 years. And finally it dawned upon me. They were building the defense around him. They went through 2 to 3 sets of defensive ends. Remember, they had Charles Mann, Dexter Manley, then they changed it out. He had all kinds of people next to him. Didn't matter. The entire defense was built around a guy like Butts. And that's when I knew the value of a defensive tackle. You just absolutely have to have one. A central anchor in the middle of your line. And the Raiders haven't had one in decades. Heidi, what are you thinking about that DT position?
Well, I'm with you. I mean, I definitely want one that's going to dominate and be able to set the tone for the defense. In a league full of offense and led by high-powered offenses, the defense still wins championships. That has not changed. And for that defense to win, you need a foundational presence. And as far as names go, I don't have really any for you. I just know that position has been neglected for a very long time, much like the middle linebacker position.
Don't get us started on that one.
And the Raiders really need to address it and take care of it. They need to take care of both positions. I know that they're wanting to move more towards the hybrid linebacker safety, and with the new coaching staff coming in, I think that's very possible. But that doesn't change the fact that you need that foundational DT right there in the middle. That's a rock and pushes forward to the quarterback and causes that disruption.
And of course we saw Thyron play this year. He's about as close as that I've seen to what I'm looking for in a very, very long time. And then he gets hurt at a critical time, of course. But, I mean, this guy can do it all. I saw him. I mean, he was just pushing on the pocket. 2 guys. It surprised the O-line that they needed 2 guys to deal with him. And he was pushing and pushing and pushing through and pushing them back into their quarterback. And I said, we haven't had a guy like that in the middle for how long? I mean, it's definitely a need that we have. What about our corners? Okay, Captain.
Well,
what are you thinking about corners?
Okay, first off, we only have 2 under contract. I take it back 3. We have 3 corners that are currently under contract, if I remember correctly. It's
Right.
Emmett Robertson, Hobbs because he was a rookie last year, and Mullen. And Mullen is off injured. So those and now that's it. Everybody else is a free agent or a 1-year wonder. I said
Yes.
I would like to take now. I'd like to take a flyer on Faison because remember he was a practice squad guy with the Chargers, and I think he played decent. Okay, decent. Hayward, I have a feeling that Hayward's going to go follow old boy to Indianapolis. Where he goes, I go.
Right.
You know, what's the old song by the girls? I will go, and he will. You know, the ladies that I will go.
Gilmore Girls, right? Where you lead, I will follow.
There you go. I think he's going to follow, and there are going to be a lot of guys that are going to follow Bradley to the Colts, but the ones that want to play for the Raiders and have the wherewithal, Graham's going to say, hey, you can go there. And yeah, they got a team that is a playoff caliber team once they find a quarterback, or you can stay here and finish the job and become a champion of the West and the champion of the AFC and a Super Bowl champion. It's up to them. Mullen is under contract. We just need to make sure that he plays more often.
And can we get Hobbs a babysitter?
Oh, did I get into a big discussion with some people who don't believe that it is the duty of the franchise, especially with your rookie players, to look out for them. Their investments. I've said this before. If you have to put a detective on them to record and watch everything you do, and Al used to do this, and don't tell me that times have changed. You got to let these guys do what they want. No, I don't. I got morals clauses in our contracts. I got clauses in there that say that you have to behave yourself in order to stay on my team. I hope this is one change that is made. Your off-the-field performance should be just as powerful. And this is what worries me about Hobbs. Who would sacrifice a night on the town, $1 million contract, a career for a night on the town getting drunk? Does that sound like a guy that thinks?
Well,
clearly,
I'm gonna at least give him the positives of about he figured, I'm gonna no man, I'm too drunk to drive. I'm not even gonna get out of the parking garage and sleep.
What about 2 weeks later?
See, Hattie, I wasn't gonna go there.
I was not finished.
Okay.
And I said I would give him positives for then, and then he goes and pulls another stunt. So it's like, okay, you did good. You thought, oh, okay, I'm not going to drive, and then you went and started being the other receiver who went and killed somebody, drag racing, and he was doing well. Well, he was doing 100 miles an hour as well. Okay, but he does need adult supervision. Okay.
And I don't see anything wrong with it. And people can argue all they want, and they can also claim that Vegas is the problem. No, the player is the problem. Okay? The way he thinks, his priorities, his maturity. And if he can't handle Vegas and the temptations, I want him weeded out. Sooner or later, he's going to get on the field and do one or two things. He's going to be impaired when he plays, or B, he's an accident or a mistake waiting to happen. He's that discipline problem that we've got with our team. And I can't emphasize enough. I don't want him on a team. He can't resist Vegas. Weed him out. Get him out of here right now. Get him out of my building. I can't take that risk. We're trying to build a dynasty here. This is serious business, and the Raiders have to take care of their players. They have to find out what these guys are doing after work. I understand Henry Ruggs was tweeting to other players. The whole team knew that he was drag racing all over Vegas well before it happened. Nobody did a thing. They
Yeah,
just
he actually was popping on the Instagram about when they were showing his car, and he was talking about basically
Being a safe driver.
yeah,
yeah.
being a safe driver, and then then was saying something like, "Yeah, I feel the need for speed" or something along those lines, just like out of Top Gun, and it was stupid.
And Al would have brought you in. And see, this is not, we know these men are grown men. We know that. But this is a business. This is an investment. We're talking about relying on guys like Hobbs to be a starting corner. I cannot have him out there carousing and drunk driving and racing his car around. He's got to go. And Al wouldn't play with you. You go, because this is, I can't build a team, or I can't build a team with guys like you around. And you're going to be well sought after, but I want him to be your problem, not mine anymore. That's the way I feel.
Well, I don't know. The thing I'm wondering is how there's been such an emphasis on us drafting men of character.
Right.
Where are these scouts looking as far as character goes?
And while we're talking about character, what's Cleveland's fate? What do you all thinking is Cleveland's fate?
Well, first off, he's got a big cap hit. Okay,
Yeah, he's going to be gone.
I think it's 10 million. Well, okay, I think it's 10 million whether he's there or not. Okay, I would like to see what he can do with the right people around him. By the way, Rod Marinelli is not listed on Raiders.com anymore, and there are many teams that want him there. We've already lost the other defensive line coach. He's gone. So Marinelli is not listed on Raiders.com. So that's almost as good as saying that he's gone, which is unfortunate. Maybe a change of a coach, because remember, he played pretty well under Buckner.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Maybe a difference in a guy coming in here can light a fire under Klee. And then again, because remember, you're going to pay him $10 million whether he's there or not. I would much rather, if you're going to pay a guy $10 million, I'd like to at least have him as an asset.
I mean, the culture is what I started out this show talking about, the Raider culture and favoritism, as well as putting players in the doghouse. All of this just disturbed me, especially in light of the fact that your units weren't playing that well anyway. I mean, let's face it, with all the hoorah about Max Crosby, the Raiders only ranked 20th in sacks this year. They weren't a top 10 sacking team. I mean, the D-line is 28th in completions after pressure. A pressure is meaningless if it doesn't stop the play. And I think that we need to focus. If you're not having, why can you afford to let guys like Cleveland rot in the doghouse? I didn't understand that kind of thinking. Maybe you guys can help me out. I just didn't understand putting players, why is this guy not starting or at least getting a lot of reps?
I don't know. It's like he came in and he didn't dominate and take over, so they just gave up on him. And I think as a result, he's given up on himself. He's someone
that's unfortunate because he played went where, and again, I'm going to drop the Clemson line again. When he was in Clemson, they had 4 guys on that defensive front that all went in the first round, and then I think one guy went in the third or maybe second round. They were a great unit. So they all played well together. I think that Klee, because he was drafted so high and people were down on him so well, he's been a very good defensive tackle at times. He's needed to resurrect as well. That's why I said, hey, this is your last year where you got to, and I'm not saying, by the way, you got a big cap hit, play your ass off, or you're going somewhere else, because you might say, well, let's see anyway. Just see what we can do, okay? That's why I said Simpson and Klee and Abram, they need to come in there and say, this is the new regime. This is what we got going on. if they look like they're getting it, or they're inspired, or they're taking that extra next step.
Oops!
Great.
Did we lose? We lost Kevlar prom dress.
Well, we
No,
lost.
you didn't lose me.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we just lost the camera. That's all.
We just lost the camera. Don't scare me like that.
Yeah.
No, I'm still here.
No, but I just think that there was a personal element to what they did to Cleveland. It wasn't just you're not a good player, we don't want to play you. It was like they buried him. I mean, and to Cleveland's credit, did you hear him on, social media complaining?
No.
Total silence.
Mm-hmm.
That tells me a lot about his character too.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's why I like to get. By the way, and this is an amusing story. He saw me all dressed up in New York, and he got out from behind because we were getting autographs. He got out from behind the autograph table and said, "I need to take a picture with you."
Oh,
Aw.
goody. Oh.
I thought that was amazing, which is why I hope to get a chance to get a hold of him. Because he thought enough of my uniform picture. So I like that. He's unassuming. He's a quiet, good person, and I think that he's definitely worthwhile to keep. I just hope that we got enough to inspire him to that next level.
Right,
I'm just hoping that the new regime gives him a chance, because the previous two defensive coordinators did not give him a chance.
No.
And as a result, he gave up on himself as far as on the field goes.
I mean, the Raiders,
and I think he's still a good player.
Raiders have to understand, when these young guys come in, you still got to coach them up. You got to go after their weaknesses, and you got to teach them how to play at the pro level, to play to their strengths, to disguise their weaknesses. Those are the things that the Raiders have just failed to do. I just felt it was so personal. But we still have just a few more minutes left. And I know this is a touchy subject, but I was wondering what your take was on the Brian Flores situation. Can't leave without talking about that. Captain?
Quickly, I without getting into the rigmarole of, he was screwed over and he's gotten, he's burning down the NFL and all the people that are there. It's one of those things where I think it's going to be, and I don't think he's going to be unemployable. He's just unemployable for right now. I think that it'll be like a year or two, but I think he will eventually get a job. He's a fantastic coach. He was put in a bad situation, especially if it comes out that all the things that he said are true. That will mean that Ross will those owners that we're saying that need to sell their teams and whatnot. Well, he's number one on the list now. Ross is an a-hole. Flores is a damn good coach. He's prickly. He's hard. He's stern. But, I'd love to have him. That's why I was saying before we had, Graham under contract, I said, I want this guy as my defensive coordinator. Talk about, I was going to say thumbing the nose, but to talk about doing this to the NFL is bringing Brian Flores in as your DC.
Yeah. And of course, I'm a Fangio gal, but anyway, Heidi, your take on the Flores situation?
I believe him. I really do. I think that the NFL is corrupt enough that any allegations he makes, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's something there. The NFL, the entire Washington football team, Washington Commandos, they're going to be the Commandos to me. I don't care what they say.
Well, you should see the Joseph Stalin pictures, the Washington commies. I mean, they should have known that was going to happen. Go ahead.
Yeah, that entire email debacle. For the only collateral damage to be John Gruden, it was a witch hunt against him. And there's a lot more there. There is a lot more there. And just knowing that went on, there's a lot from Brian Flores that I believe is true. Maybe not all of his allegations are accurate, but I think where there's smoke, there's definitely fire for him.
Okay, you got about 2 minutes to wrap it.
And Congress, of course, has subpoenaed the NFL for the entire Snyder file, and they've taken about 3 or 4 months. But now Congress is demanding. This is Republican and Democrats on the committee. They're demanding, and the NFL is talking about, oh, we're getting all the paperwork together. That may be true. My feeling is, whatever comes out of this Brian Flores situation, it's not going to change the essential problem with the NFL, and that is they hire based on who you know, who's your friend, who you coached with, and 9 times out of 10, they're always going to be white. And I have to say that inequality, given that 75% of your players are Black, is going to constantly come up for the NFL. No matter what you think, the look is not good. They're still hiring friends and family and only the people they know instead of the best man for the job.
And I think Danny Snyder, there's definitely going to be some illegal things that come forward on him.
That guy.
I really do.
Captain, what did he get? A $10 million slap on the hand? They gave him a little $10 million fine, right?
Yeah, he could probably drop that down at the Asian Orchids place with Kraft when they go down there to Stewart and have no problem doing it,
Yep.
10 million. Here, ladies, go get yourself something nice to wear,
While you're in there, get me a sandwich.
Yeah, right. Ham sandwich.
I didn't say it. That was the way that said it. And that's a great highlight to go off. He said always end on a high, just like George Costanza on that episode of Seinfeld.
Right.
I want to thank the ladies for being in here. It's always a pleasure. Remember, this is Captain and Wenches. To be determined. We will always be here every other Tuesday until we know otherwise. Make sure you are here. We're a little late tonight, but hey, we give you quality wrapped up in a 1 hour show, and we'll see what's going on. But I got quality ladies with me. I got Kevlar up. Well, actually, I need to do point opposite. I got Kevlar up there. I got obviously there. If I'm going to do opposite, so yeah, it would be no, I screwed up again. I'm just going to do this. I got Peggy over here. I got Heidi here. I got quality ladies. They're my wenches. Make sure you watch us all. Like, subscribe, comment, share this up. We want to get all those people there. And here, food for thought, because this is the comment of the day. What do you think about Brian Flores and the NFL? Comment after the show. That's the comment, because Peggy brought up something good. And the second one is, what do you think about Cleve Farrell staying on the team? That'll be the second one. Cleve Farrell, Brian Flores, comment after the show. We'll wrap it up with that. Ladies, always a pleasure. I couldn't do it without you. Like, subscribe, comment after the show. We will see y'all in a little bit. Remember, Wednesdays I'm on with Ref. Thursday's my next show. Friday I'm going to do something uncensored. And I get a day off on Saturday.
Yay!
Oh my God.
Gets his vacation so he can scrub down the galley. Been needing cleaning for a little while.
It's the weekend. It's your birthday. Hey, next week is my birthday.
Well, advance happy birthday.
Can't wait for it.
By the time I see you again, I'll be old.
Yeah. Okay. Ladies, take care. I'm going to pop out the
thanks to our wonderful commenters who are really, really smart and really give us something to think about.
Yes. Thank you very much for coming and for joining us in the show.
Like, subscribe, comment after the show. We'll see you guys next time. It's always a pleasure. That's the Wenches up there. Can't do it without.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Go Raiders.